is. Gosh, Jordan, she delivers. Hi, everybody. I'm Senator White. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Climate Solutions Caucus. Representative Molly Burke is our other co-chair, and she's in House Transportation at the moment. They're running a little long. So we might have a whole group of Transportation House members join us midpoint. So be prepared for that. We have a couple of things on our agenda today. The first is that we're going to say hello to some visitors. You might notice some new faces in the audience today. So we're going to have our third act folks say hello. And then we had Senator Watson make an, oh, hey, Molly, do you want to, we can pull up a chair. Can we still a chair? We heard from Senator Watson that she may want to make a statement today. So when she comes, we can flag that for her. We also have the Transportation for Vermont Coalition in the building who we're going to introduce. And then we're going to spend the majority of our meeting talking about the climate workforce. So if you've heard that it's hard to find people to do the work that we need to invest in climate solutions, well, boy, do we got some folks to talk to you about it. And then we're going to have the climate leadership team leave right around 12:50 because we have a meeting with the speaker's office. So we're going to be presenting the short outline of the items that we have spoken about as priorities for this caucus. So
people who have bills that they would like to have people sign can do it at that point if you want to.
Yeah, I know.
Take advantage of the crowd that's here.
Yeah, Representative Torrey, I know you specifically have a bill too. So if you've got pink envelopes, that's the time. So let's kick it off with the third act, folks. If you could just introduce yourselves and tell us where you might be from.
Right. I'm Laurel Green. I'm on the coordinating committee of Third Act Vermont, which is part of the National Third Act, people over 60 working on climate to protect the climate and democracy. So Global Warming Solutions Act. Yes, let's keep it. Let's push it. And we haven't set our official legislative priorities yet for Third Act Vermont, but I would really personally love to see ranked choice voting get in. There's a dozen of us here. Some of us Third Act Vermonters are from Windham County, Windsor County, Franklin County. We didn't get the other two corners yet, but hopefully you'll see more people because many people in Third Act are very interested in watching what you're doing. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you, Laurel. And then did the Transportation for Vermont, if you've got some folks, I know Katie Gallagher is here, but the other organizations, perhaps you just want to say there.
Well, I got some of our legislative priorities handouts. Also, a little plug for Transit Equity Day, which is Rosa Parks' birthday next week. And some really fun little bike pins if anybody wants to. You too can have a bike pin. And I'll have Christina speak to the pins while I hand these out for you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Erickson. I'm the Executive Director of Local Motion Station Pizza. And these bicycle pins come from when I attended the National Bike Summit in Washington, D.C. last year. This is part of what they call the bike partisan effort to show that bike is for everyone. Whether you ride an adaptive bike, an e-bike, or your truck field 3 speed, there's a bike for everyone. And so you can share or wear your acknowledgement of the bicycle as something for all through this pin, and you will be part of a broader coalition. Thank you.
Wow, well, so efficient, these transportation. Anything else? Or?
Yeah, so just a really quick overview of the coalition for folks who are not familiar, and apologies to those who have already heard my spiel today. But the Transportation for Vermont Coalition has been around since about 2017 as a way to bring together folks from across the transportation world, working from not only the energy and environment side of things, but also looking at transportation as an affordability and accessibility priority, and trying to lift up at the State House that all of these transportation solutions are really interconnected in a way that presents a really exciting opportunity. As you can see on the handout that I provided, that includes our members. We have about a dozen or so members. About 20 non-advocacy affiliates who also participate in our inform our work. And this year, our key policy priorities are really focused on funding, finding sustainable funding, which is, you know, a hot topic everywhere, but particularly for transportation. And in the context of this group, I need to tell you all that transportation is our number one greenhouse gas emissions. And so we need to treat it as the place of opportunity that it is when we invest in ways to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector. That means oftentimes that we're also providing transportation options for people that reduce their costs, that invest in our downtowns and community centers, and provide more social connectedness and livability. It helps with economic development, it helps with accessibility and folks with disabilities and our aging population who are going to age out of being able to drive. So there's all these interconnected reasons why transportation is so important. And I won't go into all of our priorities unless you have any questions. I sort of appreciate the time and all of your work.
Thank you, Katie. Great partner organizations, definitely someone in your district who's a partner with T for VT. And sounds like definitely folks from Third Act. So great organizations. We're probably going to hear more throughout the session. I know before we jump into hearing from our guests, Senator Watson walked in and I know she had something that she wanted to share. Maybe she walked out. Oh, darn. Okay, we'll catch her one of these days. She's back. Senator Watson, did you want to share anything with the caucus?
So thank you.
Chair of Natural Resources on the Senate side.
Yes. So it's just a couple things in response to the governor's budget address. He did mention wanting to reconsider the mission of Efficiency Vermont to make it more climate oriented. And I think people make that assumption about Efficiency Vermont anyway. And so working together to figure that out. And so anticipating a bill soon about that. And then another one of the things that he mentioned was $15 million to go towards low income weatherization. Just so you know where I am at with that, is that I think I want to support low income weatherization. I am not at this point supportive of taking that money from Efficiency Vermont to do that. However, I think there may be other places that we can look to work towards the goal of having more weatherization. So that's it for now. So there should be a bill forthcoming, and I look forward to talking more about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Watson. And it's really great. One of the best parts about the Climate Caucus is because we have both bodies, we're nonpartisan, we can hear updates from all the different sources. So thank you, senators, for participating. So I'm going to turn to our guests now. So we're going to talk climate workforce. Representative Gabrielle Stebbins, who is a former rep and also former co-chair for the House side, was planning to present to us, but she is under the weather. And we've got the best team possible to talk to us about climate workforce. Right now it is 12:18, so you've got about 10 minutes to share with us, and then we'll open it up.
Great. So I'm Carl Robichek from Energy Action Network. You probably know this document, and you probably also know that EAN does not advocate for specific policies. We're not a non-advocacy organization, but one of the things we do is we coordinate a really broad climate workforce coalition who are working on trying to solve the problems with having enough workers to accomplish all of our climate commitments. So I have handed around a handout. It has a QR code on it that sends you to our website where you can find live links on the side to a lot of our partners who are doing fabulous work on helping to train and develop the workforce. So we have 4 people here to talk to you. So I'm going to stop right now and introduce you to Will Schwartz from Efficiency Vermont, and then say that Dylan Giambattista and Sophia Donforth are both planning on coming as well to talk a little bit about the federal situation after Will talks about the state situation.
And feel free to stand up if either of you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share insights into the current gaps and barriers we face in this area, as well as the remarkable work being done by our coalition members to address them. As you know, Vermont has set ambitious goals to address climate change, and achieving these goals not only requires technological innovation and policy alignment, but also a robust and skilled workforce to implement these solutions. From renewable energy projects to weatherization efforts, from sustainable agriculture to green building, the demand for a skilled workforce is growing, but so too are the challenges we are meeting to meet this demand. Today, I'd like to structure this discussion around the 4 critical pillars of workforce development, which are attraction, education and training, retention, and business growth. These are areas in which our coalition members are focusing their efforts, and they provide a lens through which we can both understand the obstacles and opportunities in front of us. The first step in building a climate workforce is attracting people to the field and to our state. We know Vermont's workforce is aging, and many young people leave the state in search of opportunities elsewhere. We also know that the skilled trades education pathways and careers have faced and continue to face extreme stigmas of being less than a 4-year degree and a desk job. Climate-related industries present us with a unique chance to reverse this trend, offering meaningful and impactful careers that align with the values of younger generations. Our coalition members are working hard to raise awareness about these opportunities through outreach campaigns, partnerships with schools, and public events. For example, Advance Vermont hosts a climate career landing page called My Future VT, focused on clean energy and green technology. While others like Vermont Energy Education Program are engaging with elementary, middle, and high school students to spark interest early on. However, we still face challenges in ensuring all Vermonters, particularly those from underrepresented groups, see a place for themselves in these fields, and addressing this requires greater collaboration and sustained investment. Once people are interested, they need access to education and training programs that prepare them for these careers. Vermont is fortunate to have a wide range of excellent programs, from technical certifications to degree programs offered by institutions like Vermont Adult Learning, Resource, Vermont Works for Women, SEON, Serve and Learn Vermont, our CTE centers, and technical colleges, among others. Yet gaps remain. Many of these programs struggle with lack of student interest, lack of qualified instructors, outdated equipment, and machines to practice on. And there is a need for more accessible training opportunities for rural Vermonters, working adults, primary care providers, and others who can't take time off for a full-time education. Coalition members are stepping up to address these gaps through innovative solutions like online learning platforms, on-the-job trainings, mobile training units, and partnerships with employers to ensure curricula and competencies align. Attracting and training workers is only half the battle. We must ensure to stay Vermont in the climate workforce field once they've entered the workforce. Unfortunately, many employers in climate-related fields struggle with high turnover rates due to factors like low wages, tough working conditions, limited career advancement opportunities, and the high cost of living. To combat this, many coalition members are advocating for policies that support livable wages and affordable housing. There are also organizations like Resource and Vermont Adult Learning who have incorporated on-the-job learning activities and employer partnering into their training programs to help learners gain that real-world experience and see a long-term future in the field. Finally, a strong workforce is essential for supporting business growth in Vermont's climate economy. Small businesses often face barriers to expansion due to a lack of skilled workers and resources. This creates a cycle where businesses can't hire workers and workers can't find jobs without businesses. Coalition members are working to break this cycle by providing businesses training to clean energy professionals and fostering partnerships between businesses, nonprofits, training providers, and economic development organizations. For instance, Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund is providing business coaching and fundamental training to energy pros. And Efficiency Vermont is designing and implementing employer-led frameworks by pooling resources and sharing expertise. These collaborations are creating pathways for both businesses and workers to thrive. While this coalition is making significant strides, we cannot do it alone. This is where we need your help. As legislators, you have the unique ability to amplify our efforts and ensure that every Vermonter has access to the resources they need and accessing that climate workforce. Help us point your constituents towards the resources that coalition members provide, whether it's a training program in their area, a career fair, or a business opportunity. These resources are critical to building a stronger workforce and greener future for Vermont. By sharing this information through your offices, newsletters, and public appearances, you can play a pivotal role in connecting people with these opportunities. Additionally, we encourage you to continue advocating for policies that support workforce development, such as funding for education and training programs, affordable housing initiatives, early childcare initiatives, and incentives for businesses to invest in employee development. In closing, I want to emphasize that the work of building Vermont's climate workforce is not just about meeting labor market demands. but creating a more equitable and sustainable, prosperous future for all Vermonters. Together with the support of the legislature, we can ensure that Vermont remains a leader in the fight against climate change while preventing meaningful opportunities for its people. Thank you for your time and commitment to these issues. Myself, Laura, Dylan, any of the other members here today of the coalition, I'm sure we'll be happy to answer your questions. But now I'm going to pass it off to Dylan and Sophia to speak a little bit more about federal comings and
Sure,
goings.
I guess I'll come over here.
Yeah.
I got the message.
Wait,
now-
you're on camera.
Great, I'll just lurk here very quickly. And Sophia's joining me,
I'll come work with
the real expert. Just at a high level, I mean, I know we're all enjoying a nice lunch. I don't want to give anyone indigestion. But you know, Vermont in the current fiscal year we're in has a state budget of about 8.5 billion unduplicated. The governor just proposed a $9 billion budget the other day. And if you look at the joint fiscal facts booklet, you'll see that federal funding accounts for more than a third of all the appropriations and expenditures that this state manages. And critically, those dollars, if you look at where they go to community level organizations that do a really important work for workforce development, for training. Some of the partners who go out and actually are recruiting folks who end up doing weatherization retrofits in homes across Vermont, who might end up working on a career ladder and becoming our electricians in the future. And so there's tremendous uncertainty given the federal funds picture. And I don't say that to sober up any of us because we all need to be very passionate about this work, continue it. But it is fairly daunting. Now, we all know, we saw in the news the other day, there was a federal funding freeze, a grant freeze. It looks as though some component of the Office of Management and Budget has been reversed, but it's not yet clear what the intent is of the federal government around this as a new administration takes part. You know, for my day job, you know, I work with the coalition partners on workforce, but I work at Vermont Gas. We're trying very much to figure out how to equip our employees with new skills to do new things, you know, heat pumps, geothermal. Well, we recently got notice that we had been awarded with other grant partners a $3 million grant to construct a community geothermal system. Well, that's great news, right? Something that we can all be proud of and work on. But now we also are navigating this uncertainty, as are so many of you. So I just put it out there as an important note. And when we think about workforce in particular, you think about the grants that are available, the dollars that go toward training, toward really equipping folks with skills who might not have access to these professions, they are jeopardized. So this is not intended to be a doom and gloom presentation, but just to let you know of where we are.
Right.
Where we are, right? Grab another slice of pizza. Grab another slice of pizza. But you know, in Vermont, right, we take care of each other. Certainly, we know we have a lot of great state partners in this work. So we, as a coalition, are going to be trying to identify those impacts, be happy to provide resources. We have a lot of folks from different backgrounds, different industries, training, education, and we want to be partners in this so that if there are changes in the federal funding picture, there's some sort of tapestry here in Vermont that can pick up some of that slack. And we know we're all partners in it. So just putting that out there. Sophia is a real expert on this. I apologize for the doom and gloom. Please have more pizza, enjoy the meeting, and ask us questions. We want to be your
So we met just briefly on Monday morning preparing for this, and there was a request that somebody from a training organization share what's going on. And so I'm talking about VEEP's part in this, the Vermont Energy Education Program, which is quite small, but we are out there trying to spread the word about these jobs to folks in K-12 because we have to start them early. My own understanding as director of this organization was that focusing on workforce was something that was sufficiently bipartisan that would be a space that we could operate in. You know, the grants that I go for that are coming out of the EPA and very climate specific, I was sure we're going to see some attention over the course of the coming year. But 3 different grants that I've spent a lot of time putting in for last fall are now housed in departments that no longer exist or are rapidly disappearing. And so without even knowing whether or not those grants came through, that money is just off the table. So that was Monday morning at 9 a.m. And then, of course, by the time the afternoon rolled around, a number of other programs that we routinely partner with, and I will cite Vermont Works for Women because they put something on their website, but I know it's true of several others, have ongoing training programs that require this federal funding to continue. and it's workforce development. This doesn't happen over the course of weeks. It happens over the course of years. And so to be an organization that is trying to work with other ones for the long haul, to try and use what resources we do have to have the biggest impact on something that is going to take years to build, like a workforce that's going to serve our climate. This level of uncertainty, 3 days on, 3 days off is already wreaking havoc, and I think is going to continue to do so. So I don't know where to leave that, except that I think Vermont as a whole has been leaning on the feds to fill holes that we don't feel we're capable to fill as a state. And I think we're all going to have to think really creatively about how to prioritize things like workforce, because we can't rely on that funding being nonpartisan at this point.
Wow, okay. Well, thank you. Well, when we originally pitched this idea, it was a little more uplifting, just to be completely honest.
But still,
that is,
I guess that's what the interest from anyone who comes in contact with these programs is very high. Anytime we're successful in recruiting somebody, in training them, in connecting with employers, that pathway does work, but we need that pathway to be bigger and more visible. And that's where we're going to need some more resources to make that happen.
Thank you. And we really appreciate your work. And obviously, as state level officials, we did not send any executive orders out. So we are also working with our federal partners. And I know Representative Ballant is in the building today. And our senators have both spoken out very strongly in favor of this work. So whatever we can do on that front, please, I think if we want to put something out as a climate caucus to our federal delegation that's very open, I'm not sure where we would target that at this moment because it does feel like a lot of chaos and uncertainty. But in the short term, you can certainly count on members of our caucus to be vigilant on where can we fund these programs moving forward if they are put into serious uncertainty. On that note, did representatives or senators have questions about the work that is being done or how they can support or engage? Questions?
Are you going to send us your piece that you just read to us? Can you send it to? Yeah, that'd be helpful.
If you wouldn't mind, something that we send out with our e-newsletters are just like little blurbs or copy and paste. So if you have something that we could all just copy and paste into our e-newsletters, that is 100% probably going to happen compared to us having to distill something that you have on our own. So anything you can do to
Ready to
that.
print.
Yeah, I really appreciate the My Future Vermont page. Maybe we can have like here's how you find that link.
Sure.
Email. So, okay. Well, with that, I'm happy to have us wrap up a little early. We have just looking at the time, it's 12:32. So way to go on timing, folks. If folks have bills, maybe we'll go around and flag those down. But before we do that, I just wanted to note that our next meeting is February 13th. We will be in room 10. Woo! No longer making all the walk over here. We will have the youth lobby being in our meeting. So that I highly, highly recommend if you know folks who want to be at these meetings but don't necessarily prioritize it every other Thursday. Youth lobby, come on. Let's show up for them and support them. I can only imagine the level of anxiety we are experiencing around the climate crisis. The value of them feeling heard by their elected leaders would be very comforting. Okay, so bills, and then we'll wrap up. Anyone, I know you, Representative Torrey, you had one.
Yes. So in follow up to the renewable energy standard last year, there's a bill that I'm submitting in the House, and it's also going into the Senate to make some changes to the standard offer program that could help support renewables. So anybody who's interested in that, it's fairly short.
Oh, got Representative Couch
I'd
already.
like to get some co-sponsors here.
Any other? Oh, go ahead.
I have a weatherization workforce development bill. It does what we want it to do. It won't be very popular in the governor's office because it raises the fuel tax. But it needs to be said, it needs to be discussed. And I don't have it with me, but come find me. Figure it out.
Once we get once you get introduced, send us the numbers and then we could put it on our bill tracker.
That's a great point. Yes, we have a bill tracker that's being maintained by the interns that I sent out to everyone in the email. We've also started to track bills that we are in deep opposition to, which include I think it's 16, which is the repeal. Well, I don't really know what that bill does, but let's be honest, they don't like the clean heat standard. That's the point of the bill.
Or
we-
GWS.
Or the
GWSA and
So
the private right of action, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Any other bills that people,
do.
go ahead.
I have one I just introduced, H-125, which is relating to reporting on the energy transition. So asking the administration to monitor and report to the legislature on what's happening across the state as the energy transition is happening.
And I know that there will be a bill coming out from transportation folks. You may have heard it before. The acronym is CURTS for Kurt McCormick, Representative Kurt McCormick, creating a unified resilient transportation system. So we're hoping that if you are not on transportation, but you want to see that CURTS reality, that you'll sign on when we release the bill. Okay, I think that's everything for today, unless I'm missing anything. We are going to speak to the Speaker of the House, now the leadership team.
And Representative Ballant might be still giving a press conference. I think that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Isn't that happening?
And Representative Ballant, if you're interested, is doing a press conference at, I believe, 12:15 and then probably till 1 on immigration and how do we respond to the threats of mass deportation. Another really light topic, if you want to go to that one. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Local Motion Transportation Vermont. Thank you, Tara. Thank you.
You're always gonna